Your mind is the foundation of everything you do. Every choice, every action, every success starts with a thought. The way you think shapes how you see the world, how you respond to challenges, and ultimately, the life you create. If your thoughts are scattered, doubtful, or negative, it's easy to feel stuck or frustrated. But when your thoughts are clear, focused, and intentional, you gain control over your actions and direction. In this audiobook, you will discover how to train your mind daily, build mental strength, and develop habits that support growth and confidence. You'll learn how to replace doubts with self-belief, focus on what truly matters, and act on ideas that move you forward. Each chapter is filled with practical guidance. You can apply immediately techniques to sharpen your focus, build resilience, and live with purpose. Imagine being able to recognize the thoughts that hold you back and knowing exactly how to redirect them toward progress. Imagine waking up each day with clarity, motivation, and the confidence to tackle whatever comes your way. This isn't about wishful thinking, it's about taking control of your inner world and using it to shape your reality. Throughout this audiobook, you'll explore step-by-step methods for strengthening your mind, mastering your emotions, and creating a life that reflects your highest potential. Every concept is designed to be simple, actionable, and realistic. You will be guided on how to think in ways that build momentum, fuel growth, and produce real results in your life. By the end, you'll understand that your mind is not just a part of you, it is the driving force behind everything you become. The ideas you think, the habits you practice, and the decisions you make are all tools to shape a stronger, clearer, and more capable self. Listen closely, follow the guidance, and you will discover how to transform your thoughts into action and your action into lasting change. This audiobook is not about theory. It is about practice, discipline, and personal growth. Each moment you spend listening is an opportunity to sharpen your thinking, strengthen your focus, and build the confidence to live intentionally. By the time you finish, you will have a clear roadmap for training your mind, acting with purpose, and creating the life you want. Chapter 1. Train your mind daily to think with clarity. The mind is a tool of incredible power, yet for most people, it operates on autopilot. Thoughts drift without direction, emotions rise and fall without control, and focus is scattered across distractions that drain energy. To live with purpose, a person must first learn how to train the mind, how to guide it with clarity and intention every single day. This is not a one-time act of discipline, it is a daily practice that shapes the quality of every experience, decision, and result. A clear mind is not born by chance. It is built through effort, awareness, and consistency. When the mind is trained, life becomes calm, decisive, and meaningful. When it is untrained, life becomes confusing, reactive, and full of noise. Clarity begins with the recognition that most thoughts are not deliberate. They appear automatically, influenced by habit, memory, and environment. People wake up and their minds start running a stream of thoughts about what happened yesterday, what needs to be done today, what could go wrong tomorrow. Rarely do they pause to examine where those thoughts come from or whether they are useful. The first step toward clarity is awareness. To train the mind, one must learn to observe it. This means noticing thoughts as they arise, without judgment or attachment. Awareness creates space between the thinker and the thought. In that space lies power, the power to choose what to focus on, what to release, and what to build. The human mind is like a lens. When it is dirty with confusion, fear, or self-doubt, everything seen through it appears distorted. Training the mind daily is the act of cleaning that lens, again and again. It means stepping back from the noise of the world and asking simple, direct questions. What am I thinking right now? Is this thought helping me move forward or holding me back? Is my mind focused or scattered? Those who make this a daily practice begin to develop mental sharpness. Their thoughts become intentional. They learn to separate what truly matters from what doesn't. Clarity grows through discipline, not chance. Discipline is not punishment, it is structure. To train the mind means to give it structure and guidance. Imagine a river with no banks. The water spreads aimlessly, losing strength and direction. The mind without discipline is the same. It wanders, reacts, and wastes energy. But when you give the mind clear boundaries, time to think, time to rest, time to plan, it gains strength and precision. This is why every day should begin with mental training. Even 5 minutes of silence in the morning can set the tone for clarity. Sit quietly, breathe, notice your thoughts. Choose one empowering thought to focus on, something that gives direction and strength. Repeat it to yourself until it feels real. This small act of conscious thinking builds mental order. Over time, it creates stability in an unstable world. Clarity also depends on what you feed your mind. Just as the body reflects the food it consumes, the mind reflects the information it absorbs. Every word, image, and conversation leaves an impression. If the mind is constantly fed with fear, gossip, and negativity, it cannot think clearly. It becomes restless and reactive. But if it is nourished with knowledge, wisdom, and uplifting ideas, it begins to function at a higher level. Training the mind daily means being selective about mental input. Choose what you read, what you watch, and who you spend time with. Protect your focus as if it were your most valuable possession, because it is. Clarity grows when the mind is surrounded by order, not chaos. One of the greatest enemies of clarity is overthinking. Overthinking is the act of replaying problems instead of solving them. It consumes energy but produces no progress. The mind becomes stuck in endless analysis, imagining worst-case scenarios and questioning every choice. To escape this trap, learn to shift from thought to action. When you catch yourself overthinking, pause and ask, "What can I do about this right now?" If there is an action to take, take it. If there isn't, release the thought. Accept that not everything requires an answer at this moment. This shift from mental noise to calm focus is how clarity is restored. Overthinking creates confusion. Decisive thinking creates movement. Another essential part of training the mind is learning how to separate emotion from judgment. Emotions are natural, but when they dominate thought, clarity disappears. Anger, fear, or sadness can cloud reasoning, making small issues seem large and temporary feelings seem permanent. The disciplined mind learns to feel emotions without becoming controlled by them. When frustration arises, breathe before reacting. When anxiety appears, step back and observe it as an event happening in the mind, not as your identity. The more often you practice this separation, the clearer your thoughts become. You begin to see situations as they are, not as your emotions paint them. Emotional mastery is mental clarity in action. To think with clarity also means to simplify. Complexity is often a disguise for confusion. Many people overload their minds with unnecessary tasks, goals, and worries. They chase too many things at once and end up feeling scattered. A clear mind, on the other hand, focuses on essentials. It asks, what truly matters today? What deserves my energy right now? When you focus on fewer things with greater depth, your mind becomes sharp and efficient. Simplification is not laziness. It is intelligent focus. Every day, take a moment to identify your top priorities. Direct your thoughts toward them and let go of what is trivial. Clarity comes from alignment, not accumulation. A practical way to train the mind for clarity is through written reflection. Writing slows down thought. It allows you to examine what's in your mind and organize it into form. Spend a few minutes each evening writing down your main thoughts from the day, what you learned, what you felt, what you want to improve. This habit reveals patterns. You start noticing which thoughts repeat, which ones empower you, and which ones drain you. Over time, this awareness leads to self-understanding. The more you understand your mind, the easier it becomes to guide it. Writing is a mirror for the soul. It shows you the quality of your thinking and helps you refine it. Another powerful exercise is conscious breathing. Breathing connects the body and the mind. When your thoughts are racing, your breath becomes shallow and quick. When you breathe slowly and deeply, your thoughts calm down. Use your breath as an anchor to return to clarity. In moments of stress, focus entirely on inhaling and exhaling. Feel the air move through you. As the body relaxes, the mind follows. This simple practice trains you to remain centered even in chaos. A clear mind is not one without challenges, it is one that stays steady despite them. Clarity also comes from alignment between thought and action. Many people suffer mental confusion because their actions contradict their values. They think one thing, say another, and do something else entirely. This inner conflict creates tension and fog. To train your mind, live in alignment. Speak truthfully. Do what you say you'll do. Keep your promises, especially to yourself. When your thoughts, words, and actions match, mental noise fades away. You no longer waste energy managing contradictions. Integrity sharpens focus. A disciplined life clears the mind. One must also learn to embrace silence. In silence, the mind resets. Modern life is filled with constant stimulation messages, noise, screens, opinions. The mind rarely rests. Yet silence is not emptiness, it is space for clarity to grow. Make silence part of your daily routine. Spend time without background noise, without conversation, without distraction. Sit in stillness and allow your thoughts to settle like dust in calm water. What remains is truth. You begin to hear your inner voice again, the one that is often drowned out by the world. The habit of silence builds inner strength. It teaches you to listen deeply to yourself, to others, to life itself. Clarity also requires letting go of mental clutter, old beliefs, grudges, and fears that serve no purpose. Many minds are full not because they think too much, but because they hold on too tightly. They replay the past and resist what cannot be changed. To train the mind is to learn release. Forgive where needed. Accept what happened. Focus on what can still be improved. Carrying unnecessary mental weight only slows progress. Freedom from mental clutter is not forgetfulness, it is wisdom. It means knowing that peace is more valuable than resentment. Every time you release a thought that no longer serves you, your mind becomes lighter and your vision clearer. To think with clarity, you must also be mindful of self-talk, the silent language you use with yourself. Every day, your mind narrates your life. It tells you what you can or cannot do, what you are capable of, what you deserve. This internal dialogue shapes your reality. If the voice inside your mind is filled with doubt or criticism, clarity fades. You begin to see the world through fear. But if your self-talk is calm, realistic, and encouraging, clarity grows. Start listening to how you speak to yourself. When you catch negative thoughts, question them. Replace them with rational, supportive ones. The goal is not blind positivity, but balanced truth. Tell yourself what empowers you to act, not what paralyzes you with fear. Clarity is not just about thinking, it is about perceiving. The way you interpret life determines how you respond to it. Two people can face the same event. One sees a problem, the other sees a lesson. The difference lies in mental clarity. A trained mind looks for understanding, not drama. It asks, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this challenge? This perspective keeps the mind sharp and stable. Every obstacle becomes a tool for development. The more you train yourself to think this way, the clearer your path becomes, even in uncertainty. The daily training of the mind requires consistency. Clarity fades without maintenance, just as physical strength fades without exercise. Make mental training a non-negotiable habit. Each day, dedicate time to reflection, silence, conscious thinking, and gratitude. These small acts compound over time. The result is not immediate, but gradual and powerful. Weeks of practice lead to calmer reactions. Months of practice lead to sharper focus. Years of practice lead to wisdom. The person who trains their mind daily becomes a master of their inner world, calm in chaos, steady in change, and confident in purpose. True clarity is not the absence of thought, but the right relationship with thought. It means knowing when to think and when to stop thinking. It means using thought as a tool, not being used by it. When the mind is clear, you make decisions with confidence. You see patterns others miss. You act with precision instead of hesitation. You live by design, not by default. Clarity brings peace, but it also brings power, the power to shape life consciously rather than react unconsciously. There will be days when the mind feels heavy, when clarity seems distant. Those are the days when training matters most. When confusion arises, return to the basics. Breathe. Simplify. Observe. Refocus. Progress is not measured by perfection, but by persistence. The mind will resist change at first, and will seek comfort in familiar patterns. But with discipline, the fog clears. Each day of training builds strength. Each moment of awareness builds resilience. Eventually, clarity becomes a natural state, not a forced effort. The most profound clarity comes from purpose. When you know why you are doing something, your thoughts naturally align around it. Purpose filters out distraction. It gives meaning to discipline. Without purpose, even strong minds wander. So take time to understand what truly drives you, not what society tells you, but what your soul responds to. When your purpose is clear, your mind finds direction easily. Every thought either supports it or opposes it. Choose thoughts that support it, and clarity will follow. A trained mind lives lightly. It does not rush. It does not panic. It does not cling. It observes, decides, and moves forward with calm conviction. Such a mind brings stability to every aspect of life, relationships, work, health, and peace. It becomes a source of strength, not only for oneself, but for others. People are drawn to those who think clearly, because clarity brings confidence, and confidence brings trust. To train your mind daily is to honor your greatest gift, the ability to think consciously. It is the practice of returning, again and again, to awareness, simplicity, and truth. It is not a burden but a liberation. Every moment of mental clarity opens the door to a better choice, a better action, a better life. And as these moments accumulate, they shape destiny. The quality of your mind determines the quality of your life. Train it daily, and you will see the world through new eyes, not as it confuses you, but as it truly is. Clarity is not something you find. It is something you create, thought by thought, day by day, until your mind becomes the quiet strength that guides everything you do. Chapter 2. Build mental strength by choosing empowering thoughts. Mental strength is not built by accident. It is created through the thoughts you choose every day. Every thought is a signal that either strengthens or weakens your inner foundation. The mind, when directed with purpose, becomes your greatest ally. But when left unmanaged, it becomes your loudest critic. To build mental strength, you must learn to choose empowering thoughts, those that give you energy, stability, and courage, even in difficulty. Strength begins with choice, and choice begins with awareness. Each moment offers you two directions: to dwell in doubt or to rise in determination. The decision you make repeatedly becomes your mental habit, and that habit shapes your entire character. A strong mind is not one that never struggles. It is one that stays grounded when everything else shakes. It is built on thoughts that support growth instead of fear. Empowering thoughts remind you that challenges are not punishments. They are chances to build resilience. When faced with hardship, an untrained mind says, "Why me?" A strong mind says, "What can I learn from this?" That small shift transforms suffering into progress. The strength of your mind is measured by how quickly you can redirect it towards solutions. Every difficulty is an opportunity to practice that redirection, to consciously choose a thought that moves you forward rather than keeps you stuck. The thoughts you repeat most often become your identity. If you tell yourself you are capable, you begin to act with confidence. If you tell yourself you are helpless, you begin to live in limitation. Every action, every reaction grows out of these internal statements. Empowering thoughts act as mental armor. They protect you from doubt and negativity. When life becomes uncertain, you can remind yourself, I can handle this. I've been through worse. I have strength within me. Those words are not empty. They are signals to the brain that trigger calmness and focus. The body follows the mind. When you choose thoughts of strength, your emotions align with stability, and your actions follow with purpose. Building mental strength also means taking full responsibility for the direction of your thinking. It is easy to blame circumstances for how you feel, but that gives your power away. No situation controls your mind unless you allow it to. Empowerment begins the moment you take ownership of your thoughts. When something goes wrong, you can either see it as a wall or a lesson. When someone criticizes you, you can either let it wound you or use it as feedback to improve. Every external event carries the potential to strengthen or weaken you. The deciding factor is your interpretation of it. Empowering thoughts come from understanding that nothing outside you has more control than the meaning you give it. Mental strength requires practice in moments of discomfort. It is easy to think clearly when life flows smoothly. But the true test comes when you face fear, disappointment, or uncertainty. Those are the moments when your inner dialogue matters most. If your thoughts turn to panic, you lose direction. If your thoughts turn to patience, you maintain control. The person who can stay mentally steady under pressure develops unshakable confidence. Strength is not about ignoring pain, it is about managing the mind's reaction to it. Every time you calm yourself, every time you choose courage instead of fear, you reinforce a pattern of resilience. An empowering thought is not forced positivity, it is realistic optimism, the ability to acknowledge what is difficult while still believing in your capacity to overcome it. Empty affirmations mean little if they do not align with your actions. True empowerment comes from recognizing your potential and acting on it consistently. When you face self-doubt, remind yourself of the times you persevered, of the challenges you already overcame. The mind needs evidence of its strength to believe in itself again. Reflecting on your progress builds inner confidence. It trains your brain to see yourself as capable, resourceful, and steady, even when life tests you. Another vital part of mental strength is learning to filter which thoughts deserve your attention. The mind produces thousands of thoughts daily, but only a few are worth holding on to. Not every thought deserves a response. Empowering thoughts give energy, disempowering ones drain it. When a thought enters that says, I can't, pause and replace it with, I'm learning how. When a thought says, this is too hard, replace it with, this will make me stronger. These replacements are not about pretending reality is easy, they are about reminding yourself that you are equipped to handle it. The mind believes what it repeats. If you constantly repeat limitations, they become truth. If you repeat strength, it becomes instinct. Surrounding yourself with empowering environments also strengthens the quality of your thinking. The people you spend time with influence your internal dialogue more than you realize. Negativity is contagious, but so is confidence. Choose conversations that uplift and challenge you, rather than those that keep you small. Read words that feed courage. Spend time with those who live by discipline and gratitude. These influences gradually shift your own mental state. You start thinking differently, speaking differently, and seeing differently. A strong mind cannot thrive in weak surroundings. You must guard your energy and intentionally expose yourself to ideas that support your highest growth. Mental strength also grows through acceptance. Fighting against what you cannot control wastes mental energy. Choosing empowering thoughts means focusing on what you can influence: your effort, your attitude, your response. When faced with change, remind yourself that uncertainty is not the enemy, resistance is. The more you fight reality, the more your mind exhausts itself. Acceptance is not giving up, It is shifting your energy toward constructive action. Empowering thoughts turn obstacles into choices. They transform fear into clarity. They remind you that strength is not found in perfection, but in persistence. There will be times when doubt sneaks in, when your confidence falters. That does not mean you are weak, it means you are human. Mental strength is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. When your mind whispers, "You can't," answer calmly, "I will try." That one sentence can shift your entire emotional state. Empowering thoughts don't erase struggle, they give you the courage to face it without breaking. Over time, they become the voice of stability when life feels uncertain. You begin to trust yourself more, not because things are easy, but because you have proven to yourself that you can handle them. The mind adapts to what it practices. If you train it to focus on possibility instead of limitation, it naturally becomes stronger. If you train it to see failure as a teacher instead of a verdict, it becomes wiser. Empowering thoughts are the mental exercises that build this adaptability. They are small repetitions of self-belief, practiced daily, until they become automatic. Just as muscles grow with consistent effort, mental strength expands through repeated choice. Each time you choose courage over fear, patience over anger, persistence over doubt, you reinforce a neural pattern of resilience. Eventually, that strength becomes part of who you are. Building mental strength through empowering thoughts is an ongoing discipline. It requires vigilance, honesty, and commitment. You cannot control every event, but you can always control your internal dialogue. Every morning, you have a fresh opportunity to set the tone for your mind. Begin the day by focusing on one empowering truth about yourself, something that reminds you of your capability and direction. Carry that thought through your actions. At night, reflect on where your mind stayed strong and where it drifted. This awareness sharpens your self-mastery. Strength grows quietly in these moments of mental discipline. When you choose empowering thoughts, you shift from being a victim of circumstances to being the creator of your responses. You begin to live with stability rather than reaction. The storms of life no longer shake you easily because your foundation is built from within. Every challenge becomes a test of mental strength, and every victory, no matter how small, reinforces your confidence. The power of thought becomes visible in your presence, your decisions, and your peace. Strength of mind is not something you find one day. It is something you build every day, thought by thought, choice by choice, until it becomes your natural way of being. Chapter 3. Focus your attention on what truly matters most. Attention is the most valuable currency you possess. Wherever you place it, life expands in that direction. Yet most people scatter their attention across endless distractions, things that steal time but give nothing meaningful in return. To live with clarity and purpose, you must learn to direct your focus toward what truly matters most. This is not a matter of doing more, it is a matter of choosing better. The strength of your mind and the quality of your life depend on how well you can control where your attention goes. When your focus is sharp, even simple actions carry power. When it is divided, even great effort feels wasted. Modern life constantly competes for your attention. Notifications, conversations, responsibilities all fight to pull your mind in 100 directions. The result is mental noise, the feeling of being busy but not productive, active but not fulfilled. A person who cannot manage attention lives reactively, always responding, never leading. But a person who learns to control focus becomes centered, efficient, and calm. Attention is energy, and energy is life. Wherever your attention flows, your emotions, habits, and results follow. The key is to make that flow intentional. Focusing on what matters begins with self-understanding. You cannot direct attention wisely if you do not know your values. Ask yourself, what truly adds meaning to my days? What brings a sense of fulfillment? What kind of person do I want to become? These questions are not philosophical, they are practical. They guide the mind away from noise and toward purpose. When your values are clear, priorities become obvious. You stop chasing approval and start choosing alignment. The mind naturally quiets when it knows where it belongs. A focused life is built on that clarity of direction. Once you understand what truly matters, the next step is to guard your attention from unnecessary interference. Every distraction has a cost. It may seem harmless to scroll for a few minutes, engage in gossip, or dwell on trivial worries, but each one steals mental energy that could be used for creation, learning, or peace. Focus is not only about where you look, but also about what you refuse to look at. The ability to ignore what doesn't matter is as powerful as the ability to concentrate on what does. A disciplined mind learns to say no to what dilutes its purpose. Protecting your focus is a form of self-respect. To maintain steady attention, simplify your mental environment. The brain cannot perform deeply when overloaded with constant stimulation. Simplification is the act of removing what distracts from what's essential. Organize your space, schedule, and goals so your energy flows smoothly. Set clear boundaries for how you spend your time. Decide in advance what deserves your focus each day and commit to it fully. When you work, work without interruption. When you rest, rest completely. The mind grows stronger when it experiences full presence rather than divided attention. A scattered focus weakens the spirit. A centered focus strengthens it. Focusing on what truly matters also means learning the art of the presence. Too often, the mind drifts into the past or rushes into the future, neglecting the only moment where life actually happens, the present. Attention loses power when it's consumed by regret or worry. The moment you bring your full awareness to the task, person, or experience before you, life deepens. Listening becomes connection, work becomes purpose, and small actions gain meaning. Presence transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary ones. It reminds you that fulfillment is not found in doing more, but in being fully here for what you do. Distraction often arises from an untrained mind seeking escape. When we lack clarity about what's meaningful, we turn to noise to fill the void. This is why focus requires courage, the courage to face silence, to sit with your own thoughts, to accept what needs attention inside yourself. Many avoid this stillness because it reveals what they've neglected. But within that stillness lies direction. When you face yourself honestly, you begin to see which areas of your life are cluttered with unnecessary effort and which need deeper care. The decision to focus on what matters is also the decision to stop hiding from what doesn't. Attention must also be guided by intention. Ask yourself not just where your focus is, but why it's there. Each thought and action should serve a clear purpose. When intention drives attention, distractions lose their grip. You begin to move through life deliberately instead of aimlessly. This intentional focus allows you to give your best energy to what truly counts: relationships, personal growth, meaningful work, and inner peace. Every time you consciously choose your focus, you strengthen your sense of direction. You stop living by reaction and start living by design. Focusing on what matters does not mean ignoring challenges or obligations. It means giving appropriate energy to each, without allowing them to consume you. Many people spend mental energy on things beyond their control: other people's opinions, the past, the future. That focus drains vitality and breeds frustration. Real strength lies in directing attention toward what can be influenced. When you invest energy where it counts: your habits, your mindset, your daily actions, you create momentum. Life becomes less about control and more about creation. You stop wasting thought on what you can't change and start building with what you have. Clarity of focus also depends on learning how to say no. Every yes you give has a hidden cost. Each time you agree to something unimportant, You steal time from what truly enriches you. Saying no is not selfish, it is essential. It is the act of protecting your limited attention for higher priorities. The strongest minds are not those who do everything, but those who choose wisely. Every decision should serve your greater purpose. Before saying yes, pause and ask, does this align with what truly matters to me? If not, let it go without guilt. Focus grows when distractions are reduced. Another key to maintaining focus is emotional balance. The mind cannot concentrate when consumed by inner conflict. Anger, anxiety, and resentment scatter attention like wind scattering dust. Emotional awareness allows you to redirect energy back toward what's important. When strong emotions arise, acknowledge them but do not feed them. Observe, breathe, and return to your priorities. Emotional stability and focus reinforce each other. The calmer your mind, the sharper your attention. Mental strength is not about suppressing feelings, but about guiding them wisely so they support rather than sabotage your concentration. Your attention shapes your relationships as well. When you give genuine focus to another person, you create connection and trust. In conversation, most people listen to respond, not to understand. But when you truly pay attention without distraction, without judgment, you give the other person the rare gift of being seen. This kind of presence strengthens bonds and deepens empathy. Focusing on what matters often begins with focusing on people, not possessions. Moments of authentic connection carry more meaning than years of busyness. Presence is love in action. Consistency is what transforms focus into mastery. You cannot expect to direct attention well if you train it only occasionally. Daily discipline builds mental steadiness. Set aside moments each day to check where your focus has been. Ask yourself, did I give energy to what truly mattered, or did I get lost in noise? Awareness of distraction is not failure, it's the doorway back to attention. Over time, the more you practice bringing your focus back, the less effort it takes. Your mind begins to obey your command rather than your impulses. The scattered thoughts that once ruled you lose their hold. Focusing on what truly matters means recognizing that your time and energy are finite. Every day, you are spending pieces of your life on something. Make sure those pieces go toward what brings growth, peace, and fulfillment. Life is not short because of time. It feels short because of misplaced attention. You can live many years yet never truly live if your mind is always elsewhere. But if you direct attention wisely to meaningful work, nurturing relationships, personal discipline, and inner peace, every moment expands in richness. You begin to feel life deeply instead of rushing through it. In the end, focus is freedom. It frees you from noise, from confusion, from living for what doesn't matter. It brings simplicity where there was chaos, peace where there was pressure. The mind becomes light when it is no longer chasing everything that glitters. What truly matters rarely demands noise. It asks for presence, consistency, and depth. Each day, remind yourself that where your attention goes, your life follows. Protect it, sharpen it, give it only to what uplifts your spirit and fulfills your purpose. In doing so, you create a life not filled with endless tasks but with meaningful moments, a life built on the quiet power of focused intention. Chapter 4. Replace negative thinking with purposeful self-belief. Every person carries an inner voice that constantly shapes how they see themselves and what they believe they can achieve. That voice can either limit you or empower you. It can either fill your mind with doubt or fuel it with purpose. The difference lies in the thoughts you choose to nurture. Negative thinking is not just an occasional bad mood. It is a silent pattern that chips away at your self-belief day by day. It tells you that you are not ready, not capable, not enough. But those words only hold power if you believe them. When you begin to see that these thoughts are not facts, you take the first step toward freedom. Replacing negative thinking is not about pretending life is perfect. It's about deciding to see yourself as capable, resilient, and worthy, no matter what challenges appear. The mind will always offer reasons to doubt yourself. It might remind you of past mistakes, lost opportunities, or times you failed. But dwelling there serves no purpose except to anchor you in regret. Every person who has ever succeeded had moments of fear and uncertainty, but they learned to shift their focus from what could go wrong to what they could do right. That is the power of purposeful self-belief. It is not blind optimism, it is the deliberate choice to direct your thoughts toward what strengthens you. You begin by catching yourself in the act of negative thinking. When your mind says, "I can't handle this," you pause and ask, "Is that true, or is it fear speaking?" Most of the time, you'll realize it's only fear trying to protect you from discomfort. But growth never comes from comfort. Every time you challenge a negative thought, you weaken its grip. The mind learns through repetition. If you feed it the same doubts every day, it becomes fluent in fear. But if you consistently replace those doubts with purpose-driven affirmations, thoughts rooted in your goals and strengths, it begins to rewire itself. You might not see the shift instantly, but with time, your perspective changes. You start to see problems as temporary, not defining. You start to see challenges as lessons, not punishments. And most importantly, you start to see yourself as capable, not broken. Building purposeful self-belief means giving yourself permission to succeed, to fail, to learn, and to rise again. It means understanding that self-doubt will visit, but it doesn't get to stay. You replace it with truth. For instance, when you think, "I'm not good enough," replace it with, "I'm improving every day." When you think, "I always fail," replace it with, "I've learned from every experience." When you think, "I can't change," replace it with, "I'm capable of growth." These are not empty phrases, they are mental training. Just like the body needs exercise to grow stronger, the mind needs positive repetition to build resilience. Purposeful self-belief also requires clarity. You must know what you are working toward. It's not enough to simply want to feel better. You need a direction that gives meaning to your effort. Ask yourself what truly matters to you. Is it peace, confidence, contribution, or freedom? When your goals are clear, it becomes easier to align your thoughts with them. A negative thought might whisper, "You'll never reach that goal." But your sense of purpose answers, "I'm already on the way." The stronger your purpose, the weaker the doubt becomes. Purpose gives structure to belief. It turns vague hope into grounded conviction. Another key to replacing negative thinking is self-awareness. Many people spend their lives reacting to thoughts without realizing they are not their thoughts. They accept every passing idea as truth. But once you begin observing your mind, you create distance between who you are and what you think. You start noticing how your thoughts shift depending on your mood, your environment, or your level of fatigue. You see that negativity often arises when you're tired, stressed, or comparing yourself to others. This awareness gives you power, the power to interrupt old habits and redirect your focus towards something better. To strengthen purposeful self-belief, you must also protect your environment. The people you surround yourself with influence the way you think about yourself. Constant negativity, gossip, or criticism from others can slowly drain your confidence. But when you spend time around those who inspire you, who speak truth and encouragement, it becomes easier to believe in your own worth. Choose conversations that lift your spirit. Read ideas that expand your mind. Watch and listen to content that strengthens your discipline and purpose. Every input shapes your mental output. Self-belief grows through consistent action. You can't just think differently, you must act on those new thoughts. Every time you take action despite fear, you prove to your mind that courage lives within you. Each small victory builds evidence that you can trust yourself. You start to build an internal record of resilience. Times you showed up, handled discomfort, made progress. That evidence becomes your foundation. When self-doubt appears again, you have proof that you've faced challenges before and overcame them. Confidence is not the absence of fear, it's the memory of overcoming it. Forgiveness also plays a crucial role. Negative thinking often thrives on guilt and regret. The mind replays old scenes, wishing you had done things differently. But no amount of regret changes the past, it only weakens your present. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know before. Forgive yourself for the moments you fell short. Every mistake carried a lesson, and every lesson has brought you here, wiser than before. When you release guilt, you make space for belief. You give your mind permission to focus on the possibilities ahead instead of the pain behind. Purposeful self-belief does not mean you'll never feel uncertain again. It means you'll have a solid foundation to return to when uncertainty appears. Life will always test you. You'll face moments where things fall apart, where plans fail, where your faith is shaken. But if you've built the habit of replacing negative thoughts with purposeful ones, you'll recover faster. You'll find calm in the storm because your inner voice will guide you, not destroy you. Start each day with a thought that empowers you. Before you check your phone or step out of bed, remind yourself of who you are becoming. Say it to yourself, I am growing stronger. I am capable. I am building a life that reflects my purpose. These words may seem small, but they shape your day. They give direction to your focus. And as the day unfolds, when challenges appear, you'll respond from a place of belief rather than fear. The truth is, you cannot always control what happens around you, but you can always control what you choose to believe about yourself. You can decide to live with purpose instead of insecurity. You can train your mind to work for you, not against you. You can build a foundation so strong that no setback can permanently break your confidence. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it begins the moment you decide to think differently. So whenever that familiar voice of doubt returns, and it will, don't fight it with frustration. Acknowledge it, understand it, and replace it with something stronger. Choose the thought that moves you forward. Choose the belief that aligns with your purpose. Each time you do, you are not just changing a thought, you are changing your life. The mind you strengthen today becomes the guide that leads you toward everything you've ever wanted to be. Chapter 5. Discipline your thoughts to align with your goals. Every goal you set in life begins in your mind. Before you take action, before you change your habits, before you see results, there is a thought. That thought becomes the seed of everything you create. But a seed only grows when it is nurtured with care and consistency. The same rule applies to your goals. They flourish when your thoughts are disciplined enough to support them. Without mental discipline, even the best goals drift into wishful thinking. The mind that lacks direction jumps from one desire to another, never fully committing, never staying long enough to see results. Discipline is what brings order to your thinking, clarity to your choices, and purpose to your effort. When you discipline your thoughts, you are not suppressing them, you are guiding them. You begin to treat your mind like a tool rather than a master. Most people allow their thoughts to run freely, reacting to every distraction, every doubt, every impulse. But if you want to achieve something meaningful, you must decide which thoughts deserve your energy and which ones must be ignored. Every day, countless thoughts compete for your attention. Some are rooted in fear, others in desire, and a few in purpose. Discipline means choosing to feed only the thoughts that align with your goals. The rest must fade into silence. A disciplined mind doesn't get carried away by emotion. It observes what arises but doesn't surrender control. For example, when frustration comes, an undisciplined mind says, "This is too hard. I should stop." A disciplined mind, however, acknowledges the emotion and asks, "What can I do right now to stay aligned with my purpose?" That single shift in questioning separates the achievers from the drifters. It's not that disciplined people never feel tired or doubtful, it's that they have trained their thoughts to return to what matters most. To discipline your thoughts, you must start by being brutally honest about what occupies your mental space. How much time do you spend thinking about things that bring no progress? Worry, comparison, regret, and imaginary fears consume energy that could be fueling your growth. A goal cannot coexist with chaos. If your mind is filled with endless noise, your focus weakens. But once you begin to remove mental clutter, your direction becomes clear. You stop chasing distractions and start moving intentionally. Every thought becomes a tool for progress instead of a weight that drags you down. Discipline is not about rigidity, it's about consistency. You don't have to control every thought, but you must repeatedly return to the ones that serve you. When your goal is health, you discipline your mind to think like a healthy person, making choices that nourish your body, rejecting excuses that delay improvement. When your goal is financial stability, you train your thoughts to seek opportunities, not limitations. When your goal is inner peace, you guide your mind away from conflict and toward gratitude. Every goal requires a mental attitude that sustains it. Without that alignment, your actions will lack direction and your results will fade. Mental discipline also requires patience. The mind loves instant results, but true growth is gradual. Every great achievement began with repetitive effort. Just as an athlete trains the body through repeated movement, you train your mind through repeated focus. You wake up each morning and remind yourself of your priorities. You guard your mind from distractions that don't serve your mission. You learn to pause before reacting, to reflect before deciding, to breathe before giving in to doubt. These small acts of awareness accumulate into powerful control. They keep your energy aligned with your vision, even when circumstances try to pull you off course. The greatest obstacle to disciplined thinking is emotional impulse. The moment something feels uncomfortable, the undisciplined mind looks for an escape. It starts thinking of reasons to stop, excuses to delay, or alternate goals to pursue. That is how people sabotage their own potential. But a disciplined mind sees discomfort as part of the process. It doesn't look for shortcuts, it looks for endurance. It understands that the emotional turbulence of growth is temporary, but the reward of staying consistent is lasting. Every time you resist the temptation to quit, you strengthen your mental core. To align your thoughts with your goals, you must remind yourself daily why your goal matters. Purpose fuels discipline. When you know why you're doing something, it's easier to control how you think about it. A strong why gives your mind direction when motivation fades. It helps you stay focused on long-term outcomes instead of short-term emotions. When you feel overwhelmed, you can return to your purpose and use it as a compass. Ask yourself, does this thought move me closer to my goal or pull me further away? That single question can filter out countless distractions. The discipline of thought also includes the ability to manage self-talk. Your inner dialogue determines the limits of your potential. If you constantly tell yourself you're not ready, you'll hesitate to act. If you tell yourself it's too hard, your effort will weaken. But if you tell yourself you can figure it out, your mind starts searching for solutions. Self-talk is not about false positivity, it's about intentional guidance. Speak to yourself in a way that strengthens your direction. Replace criticism with commitment. Instead of saying, "I'll never make it," say, "I'm still learning." Instead of saying, "This is impossible," say, "This is challenging, but I can handle it." Over time, this internal discipline builds unstoppable mental momentum. The world around you will constantly test your focus. There will be noise, opinions, and distractions trying to pull you away from your vision. You can't control those external forces, but you can control your reaction to them. A disciplined thinker learns when to engage and when to ignore. They don't waste energy proving themselves to others or seeking validation. Their thoughts are anchored in progress, not approval. They keep their focus inward on growth, consistency, and purpose. Another aspect of disciplined thinking is learning to redirect your attention when it drifts. Everyone loses focus from time to time. The difference lies in how quickly you bring yourself back. Instead of dwelling on how distracted you became, you simply notice it and return to the task. That quiet return builds strength. Over time, you begin to stay focused longer and recover faster. Mental discipline is not perfection, it's persistence. It also helps to visualize your goals clearly. See yourself living in alignment with them. Imagine the version of you who has already achieved what you desire. How would that person think, speak, and act? Begin to practice those mental patterns now. Visualization trains your subconscious to recognize what success feels like, making it easier to align your daily thoughts and behaviors with that vision. The mind believes what it repeatedly imagines, so make sure your imagination supports your future instead of your fear. To maintain disciplined thinking, create daily rituals that strengthen your focus. Morning reflection, journaling, or even a few moments of silence can set the tone for the day. Throughout the day, take mental pauses to check your alignment. Ask yourself, are my thoughts supporting my progress or holding me back? That simple awareness prevents your mind from wandering into doubt or distraction. Discipline is built in these quiet, consistent moments of reflection. Finally, understand that a disciplined mind is not emotionless, it's intelligent. It feels deeply, but acts wisely. It recognizes fear without surrendering to it. It feels pressure without breaking under it. It experiences failure but doesn't dwell on it. Discipline allows you to experience life fully while staying anchored to your direction. It keeps your emotions from steering the wheel and lets your purpose take control. The more disciplined your thoughts become, the clearer your path gets. You no longer waste energy on confusion or regret. You no longer drift between conflicting desires. Your thoughts, words, and actions start to move in the same direction. And when that alignment happens, your progress becomes inevitable. You begin to attract clarity, confidence, and results that once seemed out of reach. When you master your thoughts, you master your life. Every decision becomes intentional, every setback becomes temporary, every success becomes sustainable. Discipline turns your mind into your greatest ally, guiding you through challenges and keeping you aligned with your purpose. The person who learns to think with discipline does not depend on luck or motivation. They create their own momentum through conscious direction. And that, more than anything else, is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Chapter 6. Feed your mind with knowledge that inspires action. The mind becomes what it consumes. Every piece of information you allow in shapes your beliefs, your habits, and the limits of what you believe is possible. If you feed your mind with negativity, fear, and distraction, it will reflect that in your thoughts and behavior. But when you fill it with knowledge that uplifts, challenges, and inspires you to act, your life begins to move forward in ways you never imagined. The difference between growth and stagnation often lies in the quality of what you feed your mind every single day. Knowledge is not power by itself. It becomes power only when it moves you to act. Many people collect information but never apply it. They read books, listen to talks, watch motivational videos, but their lives remain unchanged because the knowledge stays in their head instead of becoming part of their actions. True wisdom begins when what you learn starts influencing how you live. Each idea you encounter should either help you think better, act better, or live better. If it doesn't do any of these, it's just noise. To feed your mind wisely, you must become intentional about what you expose yourself to. Every day, your mind is bombarded with voices, news, opinions, advertisements, gossip, endless scrolling through meaningless content. Much of it adds nothing valuable to your life, yet it consumes your focus. You must decide to treat your attention as something sacred, something that deserves protection. Choose to consume content that strengthens your mind instead of weakening it. Read books that stretch your understanding. Listen to people who have achieved what you want to achieve. Seek ideas that make you uncomfortable because they challenge your current limits. Growth happens when you expose your mind to higher levels of thought and then act on what you learn. There's a clear difference between passive learning and active learning. Passive learning is when you read or listen for the sake of feeling inspired, but never take the next step. Active learning, on the other hand, is when you take one piece of knowledge and immediately find a way to apply it. For instance, if you read about improving discipline, you apply it the same day by managing your time better. If you learn about health, you make a conscious change in your meals or exercise habits. The quicker you act on knowledge, the deeper it becomes a part of you. The mind learns best through experience, not just exposure. Your mind thrives on challenge. When you learn something new that stretches your thinking, it adapts, grows, and becomes sharper. Stagnation happens when you keep feeding it the same repetitive ideas. Many people stop growing because they stop learning. They rely on what they already know and become trapped in their old ways of thinking. But the world evolves, and so must you. Feeding your mind with fresh, useful knowledge keeps your perspective alive and your spirit young. It gives you the flexibility to adapt and the courage to explore new paths. What you read, watch, and listen to should lead you toward clarity and motivation, not confusion or fear. Pay attention to how information makes you feel. Some content drains you. It fills your mind with anxiety, comparison, or hopelessness. Other content energizes you. It sparks curiosity, purpose, and determination. The goal is not to consume more, but to consume better. A few powerful pages from a meaningful book can do more for your life than hours of mindless entertainment. Choose quality over quantity. Knowledge that inspires action often comes from people who have lived what they teach. Their experiences carry lessons you can translate into your own journey. When you read about how others overcame struggle, you gain insight into your own. You begin to see patterns of resilience, focus, and perseverance that you can apply directly. Learning from others saves you time and prevents unnecessary mistakes. It's like borrowing wisdom without paying the price of failure. But the value only unfolds when you apply what you learn to your own circumstances. A practical way to feed your mind effectively is to create a personal routine of learning. Dedicate a part of your day, even 15 minutes, to reading or listening to something meaningful. It doesn't need to be grand or complicated. What matters is consistency. Over time, these small sessions accumulate into deep understanding. As the days pass, your way of thinking starts to shift. You begin to connect ideas, recognize opportunities, and develop a sharper sense of purpose. The information you once only read about becomes a natural part of how you live and think. However, knowledge without reflection loses impact. After learning something valuable, take a few moments to think deeply about it. Ask yourself how this idea fits into your life. How can it help you solve a problem, strengthen a weakness, or improve a habit? Reflection turns raw information into personal wisdom. It's not about memorizing facts, it's about internalizing principles that guide your choices. The more you reflect, the more knowledge becomes action. In today's world, we have unlimited access to information, but limited attention. That means the real challenge isn't finding knowledge, it's filtering it. You must develop the ability to discern what's useful and what's not. Not every popular idea deserves your focus. Just because something is trending doesn't mean it's valuable. Train your mind to recognize content that adds depth, perspective, and skill to your life. Read widely, but think critically. Learning without discernment can lead to confusion, while focused learning leads to mastery. Your environment also plays a role in how you feed your mind. The people you talk to, the conversations you engage in, the places you spend time in, all these feed your thoughts. Surround yourself with individuals who talk about ideas, not just complaints. Engage with those who encourage you to grow, not those who pull you into negativity. The company you keep shapes the quality of your thinking. Every interaction is a form of mental nourishment. Some enrich you, others deplete you. Choose carefully. Sometimes, the most powerful form of feeding your mind isn't adding new information but quieting it. Silence allows your thoughts to settle, giving space for insight to form. The mind, when overwhelmed with constant input, loses its ability to think deeply. Set moments in your day when you disconnect from noise. Use that time to process what you've learned and let new ideas emerge naturally. The combination of learning and silence builds depth. It turns information into understanding, and understanding into wisdom. Action is the proof of knowledge. You can read hundreds of books about discipline, but if you don't practice consistency, the knowledge stays theoretical. You can study success endlessly, but if you never take initiative, your understanding has no meaning. The purpose of feeding your mind is not to become a collector of ideas, it's to become a creator of results. Let every new insight push you toward movement. Apply, test, fail, adjust, and grow. That's how you turn learning into transformation. The more you apply what you know, the more confidence you build. Each time you act on a piece of knowledge and see results, even small ones, your belief in your ability grows. That belief becomes motivation to keep learning. Knowledge that inspires action creates a positive cycle. The more you act, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more effectively you act. This loop of learning and doing is how progress accelerates. It's easy to underestimate the power of small daily learning habits, but they can reshape your entire mindset. One powerful idea can change how you view yourself, your goals, and your world. But it only happens if you give your mind the right material to work with. The thoughts you feed today become the foundation of your future decisions. Every meaningful change in life begins with a single shift in thinking, and that shift comes from learning something new and acting upon it. Your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it will grow. Plant knowledge that pushes you forward. Feed it with truth, insight, and stories of perseverance. Water it with daily effort and action. Protect it from the weeds of negativity and doubt. Over time, the harvest of wisdom will show in your choices, your confidence, and your results. Feeding your mind is not a one-time act. It's a lifelong commitment to becoming better, wiser, and stronger with every passing day. Chapter 7. Practice self-awareness to master your inner world. The inner world shapes everything you do. Your thoughts, emotions, and habits are all reflections of what is happening within. If your inner world is chaotic, your life feels out of control. If your inner world is disciplined and clear, your outer world follows naturally. Mastery begins with awareness, understanding the currents of your mind before you attempt to steer them. Self-awareness is not simply noticing what you think or feel. It is observing without judgment, recognizing patterns, and understanding how your internal state affects your choices. Without it, the mind drifts, the emotions control you, and the actions you take become reactive rather than intentional. Many people live almost entirely on autopilot. They respond to situations without realizing why they react the way they do. Emotions flare, thoughts spiral, and decisions are made impulsively. Over time, this lack of awareness becomes a habit that limits growth. The first step toward mastering your inner world is noticing these automatic reactions. Begin by observing how your mind responds to stress, success, conflict, and routine. Awareness does not require fixing anything immediately. It requires simply seeing what is happening. Once you know the patterns, you gain the power to change them. Self-awareness reveals the subtle ways you limit yourself. Often, negative habits begin quietly, disguised as small comforts or repetitive thoughts. You may notice a recurring thought that says, "I can't," or a behavior that undermines your goals, like procrastination or avoidance. Becoming conscious of these patterns allows you to interrupt them before they gain momentum. Awareness shines a light on the unconscious habits that control your actions, giving you the choice to respond differently. Without this insight, change becomes random and unreliable. To practice self-awareness, reflection is essential. Set aside time to review your thoughts and actions regularly. Journaling can be a powerful tool for this. It provides clarity and forces you to articulate what is happening inside. Ask yourself questions such as, which thoughts dominated my day? What triggered my strongest emotions? When did I act from clarity? And when did I act from impulse? Honest answers are not always comfortable, but they are the foundation for true mastery. You cannot change what you do not recognize. Emotions are powerful signals in your inner world. They carry messages about your needs, boundaries, and values. Self-awareness allows you to interpret these signals accurately. Instead of being carried away by anger, fear, or anxiety, you observe them and ask, "What is this telling me?" Often, emotions indicate areas that require attention, adjustment, or acceptance. Learning to sit with your feelings without reacting impulsively strengthens the mind and fosters resilience. Emotional mastery begins with recognition, not suppression. Your thoughts are equally important. Many thoughts are repetitive and unconscious, shaping your behavior without your knowledge. Self-awareness requires noticing these thoughts as they arise. Are they productive or destructive? Are they rooted in fact or assumption? By identifying the quality of your thinking, you can choose which thoughts deserve attention and which should be released. This filtering process gradually rewires the mind to prioritize clarity, purpose, and positivity. The inner world also reflects your values. Often, stress or dissatisfaction occurs when actions diverge from what you truly care about. Self-awareness helps you identify these misalignments. When you notice frustration or unease, it is often a sign that you are acting against your own principles or neglecting what matters. Recognizing this allows you to make intentional choices that align with your core values. Life becomes more harmonious when your inner state is congruent with your external actions. Self-awareness sharpens decision-making. When you understand your tendencies, strengths, and weaknesses, choices become clearer. You anticipate your reactions, weigh your options more carefully, and consider consequences more thoroughly. Impulse loses its power when the mind observes itself. Decisions guided by awareness are deliberate, not reactionary. This leads to more consistent progress toward goals and less wasted energy on conflict, regret, or distraction. Mastering your inner world also requires observing your triggers. Every person has situations, people, or circumstances that provoke strong reactions. By identifying these triggers, you gain the ability to respond consciously instead of automatically. You may discover that criticism, uncertainty, or pressure creates unnecessary tension. Awareness allows you to pause, take a breath, and choose how to respond. This pause is the bridge between instinct and intention, the moment where mastery emerges. Self-awareness grows through mindfulness. Being fully present in each moment allows you to notice subtleties in your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. Mindfulness strengthens the connection between perception and action, making it easier to catch unhelpful patterns before they dominate. Whether walking, working, or speaking, you can practice observing your internal state with clarity. Over time, this awareness becomes intuitive, a natural part of daily life. Awareness also creates freedom from the past. Many people carry old fears, resentments, or self-limiting beliefs that unconsciously dictate their choices. By examining your inner world, you can identify which aspects of your thinking are inherited, conditioned, or outdated. Once identified, these patterns can be questioned, challenged, and replaced with beliefs that serve your present purpose. Awareness exposes the chains that hold you and allows you to step forward with intention. The inner world is a mirror. How you perceive yourself and your circumstances reflects the state of your mind. If confusion, fear, or negativity dominates, it will appear in your relationships, work, and decisions. By cultivating self-awareness, you clarify the mirror, you see reality more accurately, and your responses become aligned with wisdom rather than reaction. Mastery of the inner world is not about controlling every thought. It is about understanding them, observing them, and directing them with conscious choice. Self-awareness fosters patience and resilience. When you recognize that growth is a process, you are less likely to be discouraged by setbacks. You understand that challenges are part of the inner landscape, and that each obstacle provides insight into your habits and thinking. By observing how you respond under pressure, you learn to adapt, endure, and improve. The stronger your awareness, the less your mind becomes a victim of circumstance. Practicing self-awareness also deepens self-compassion. Understanding the reasons behind your thoughts and behaviors reduces harsh self-criticism. You begin to see patterns not as failures but as opportunities for learning. Compassion, combined with clarity, allows for steady growth without the weight of guilt or frustration. The mind functions best when it feels supported, not punished. Awareness provides both understanding and guidance. The ultimate goal of self-awareness is mastery. Mastery does not mean perfection. It means the ability to navigate your inner world with intentionality. When thoughts, emotions, and actions are observed and understood, you can choose the path that aligns with your highest values and goals. You become the leader of your own mind rather than a passenger. Mastery brings freedom, focus, and confidence, allowing you to approach life with clarity, resilience, and purpose. Every moment offers a chance to practice awareness. Each thought, each reaction, each emotion is data. The more attentively you observe, the more skilled you become at guiding your inner world. This ongoing practice transforms ordinary life into deliberate life. It enables you to act from strength instead of reaction, to build habits that support growth, and to respond to challenges with intelligence and calm. Self-awareness is the foundation on which the rest of personal mastery is built. By practicing self-awareness consistently, you gain the ability to shape your inner world instead of being shaped by it. You recognize patterns, understand your emotions, guide your thoughts, and make deliberate choices. Life becomes a reflection of your clarity and intention. Mastering the inner world is the ultimate path to freedom, resilience, and meaningful action. Because when you understand yourself fully, everything you do becomes deliberate, effective, and powerful. Chapter 8. Transform your mindset by acting on positive ideas. Thoughts have power, but their true strength is realized only when translated into action. A positive idea, no matter how inspiring, remains dormant until it is put into practice. Transformation begins at the intersection of thought and action, where belief is reinforced by tangible experience. Many people understand the importance of thinking positively, but far fewer act on those ideas consistently. It is the combination of reflection, belief, and deliberate action that reshapes the mind and ultimately transforms life. The mind grows through use, and action is the most direct way to exercise it. Positive ideas are like seeds planted in fertile soil. They hold potential, but without care, they wither. Acting on them nurtures growth and solidifies new ways of thinking. For example, the idea of approaching challenges with gratitude becomes powerful only when you practice acknowledging even small benefits during difficult moments. The act reinforces the mindset, proving to yourself that positivity is not theoretical, it is real and effective. Transformation occurs when ideas shift from abstract concepts to lived experiences, bridging the gap between imagination and reality. Action solidifies belief. When you act on a positive thought, the mind registers the experience as evidence that your thinking works. Doubt diminishes because proof accumulates through lived experience. If you read that persistence leads to success, but never persist in practice, the lesson remains fragile. When you take deliberate steps, however small, toward a goal, your mind begins to integrate the concept into your identity. Over time, the repeated practice of acting on constructive ideas rewires your brain, forming new neural pathways that strengthen optimism, resilience, and initiative. Transforming your mindset through action requires courage. Thoughts alone are safe. They exist in the realm of imagination. Acting on them exposes you to uncertainty, discomfort, and the possibility of failure. Yet, it is precisely this exposure that creates lasting change. Each step taken toward a positive ideal, even when accompanied by fear, builds mental toughness and reinforces the belief that you are capable. Courage is developed in motion, not in contemplation. The more you act, the more fearless your mindset becomes. Consistency is crucial. Transformation is not a result of one isolated act, but of repeated, deliberate behavior. Daily choices to implement positive ideas accumulate into lasting mental patterns. For instance, practicing gratitude once may feel superficial, but when repeated every day, it reshapes perception, making optimism a natural response rather than a forced effort. Each conscious action compounds over time, strengthening the mindset and creating momentum that carries into every area of life. The quality of your actions matters as much as their frequency. Acting haphazardly on positive ideas produces limited results. Focused, intentional action ensures that your efforts reinforce the mindset you wish to develop. If your goal is to cultivate patience, simply thinking about patience is insufficient. You must respond to situations that test your composure with calm and measured behavior. Each time you choose restraint over reaction, the mindset of patience is reinforced. Intentional action bridges the gap between aspiration and reality. Transformation also requires reflection. After acting on positive ideas, consider the impact of your behavior. Did it align with your intention? Did it produce the desired outcome? Reflection allows you to refine your approach, strengthen your understanding, and make future actions more effective. Without evaluation, even consistent behavior can plateau. Reflection turns action into a feedback loop that accelerates growth, ensuring that each positive idea acted upon moves you closer to your highest potential. Your environment plays a significant role in reinforcing or undermining your mindset. Surround yourself with influences that encourage action, not just thought. Interactions with proactive, growth-oriented individuals provide examples and motivation for applying ideas in real life. Conversely, environments that celebrate passivity, fear, or pessimism weaken your resolve. Action thrives when supported by a setting that values initiative, resilience, and follow-through. Choosing surroundings wisely accelerates the transformation process. Small actions lead to large change. You do not need to make monumental moves to shift your mindset. Simple, consistent behaviors have profound cumulative effects. Writing down affirmations, completing a task you've been avoiding, offering kindness without expectation, each of these reinforces the belief that positive action produces results. Momentum builds quietly, yet powerfully, as repeated small steps compound into significant transformation. The mind adapts to the behavior it practices regularly, creating a durable foundation of positivity. Overcoming resistance is part of the process. The mind often clings to old habits, fear, and comfort zones. Acting on positive ideas challenges these tendencies, provoking discomfort. Yet, discomfort is an indicator of growth. Each instance you choose action over inertia signals to your mind that new patterns are possible. Resistance diminishes through repeated experience, and the mindset gradually aligns with constructive behavior. Growth is rarely painless, but it is always worthwhile. Positive ideas, when acted upon, create confidence. Every successful application reinforces the belief that you can influence outcomes through your behavior. Confidence, in turn, fuels further action, creating a cycle of reinforcement. The mind learns through experience, not assertion. Thinking alone may inspire, but action proves capability. Each step forward strengthens belief, enabling larger actions and more ambitious goals. Confidence emerges not from theory but from repeatedly proving to yourself that positive ideas are actionable and effective. Action also fosters clarity. Thoughts often remain vague until tested in the real world. By acting on an idea, you discover its nuances, limitations, and practical value. This feedback sharpens judgment and refines understanding. Mindset transformation occurs when theory is reconciled with reality. Each attempt, whether it succeeds or encounters obstacles, informs future behavior, creating a more precise and empowered mental framework. Acting on positive ideas changes perception. When the mind experiences success through constructive behavior, it begins to expect results rather than doubt them. Opportunities become more visible, obstacles seem manageable, and challenges are reframed as possibilities. This shift in perspective reinforces the mindset, creating a self-sustaining cycle of optimism and action. The mind grows confident because it has proof embedded in lived experience. Ultimately, the transformation of mindset is a journey, not an instant event. It unfolds through deliberate, repeated action grounded in meaningful ideas. Each thought acted upon strengthens belief, builds resilience, and reshapes the mental landscape. The individual who consistently practices this integration of thought and behavior gradually becomes someone whose mind naturally gravitates toward positivity, resourcefulness, and proactive engagement with life. The process requires discipline, patience, and courage. It demands choosing action over passivity, evidence over assumption, and persistence over frustration. Every small step reinforces the mental pathways that define your character and outlook. Transformation is not about occasional bursts of effort, but about creating a lifestyle where action consistently aligns with constructive ideas. Acting on positive ideas ultimately makes them inseparable from your identity. The mind begins to think and respond in ways that reflect your actions. Positivity becomes habitual, resilience becomes instinctive, and belief becomes embodied. Life responds to this internal change, producing results that once seemed out of reach. Action is the bridge between possibility and reality, and through it, the mind is transformed. To transform your mindset fully, commit to daily action. Seek opportunities to apply insights, practice constructive behavior, and reflect on outcomes. Embrace the discomfort that comes with change. Celebrate each success as evidence that your mind is learning, adapting, and growing. Over time, the repeated practice of positive action reshapes your thoughts, beliefs, and identity, producing lasting transformation. Every idea acted upon is a building block of a stronger, wiser, and more capable mind, and through consistent effort, the life you desire becomes inevitable. Chapter 9. Strengthen your confidence through daily mental training. Confidence is not an accidental trait. It is built deliberately, nurtured with attention, and strengthened through consistent mental practice. It begins not with external validation, but with the internal habit of trusting yourself and your abilities. Daily mental training forms the foundation of this trust, shaping the way you perceive challenges, opportunities, and your own potential. Confidence is cultivated by creating mental patterns that reinforce your capability, resilience, and readiness to face life without hesitation. Each day you practice consciously, your mind becomes a stronger ally, and your self-belief grows naturally from repeated reinforcement. Mental training begins with awareness. You must observe the thoughts that either strengthen or weaken your confidence. Many people allow self-doubt to dominate without recognizing it. A fleeting thought like, "I can't handle this," might seem insignificant, but repeated over time, it becomes a barrier that limits achievement. By noticing these patterns, you can challenge and replace them with constructive thoughts. For instance, when uncertainty arises, consciously affirm, "I have the skills to manage this," or "I can find a solution." This repetition rewires your brain to lean toward assurance rather than hesitation. Visualization is a key component of daily mental training. Seeing yourself succeed, handling challenges with poise, and achieving your goals in your mind primes the brain for actual performance. The mind does not differentiate sharply between imagined success and real experience. It responds to vivid mental rehearsal as though it were real. By visualizing positive outcomes daily, you train your mind to anticipate success, which naturally enhances confidence when confronted with real situations. This practice strengthens both preparedness and mental resilience. Confidence grows through small, deliberate challenges. The brain learns by proving to itself that success is possible. Each time you step beyond comfort and take controlled risks, you build evidence that you are capable. Mental training involves intentionally setting tasks that test your focus, persistence, or composure, then reflecting on the outcomes. Completing these challenges reinforces the internal narrative that you can handle adversity. This evidence accumulates quietly, shaping a self-belief that is resistant to outside circumstances or criticism. Self-talk is another powerful tool in mental training. The inner dialogue you maintain shapes the way you respond to the world. Daily practice of constructive self-talk, affirming your competence, resilience, and potential, creates a steady undercurrent of confidence. When challenges appear, this mental reinforcement allows you to navigate obstacles without succumbing to fear or hesitation. Confidence is not built in moments of ease. It emerges from the consistent support you provide your mind through positive and disciplined dialogue. Resilience is intertwined with confidence. Mental training involves cultivating a mindset that sees setbacks as learning opportunities rather than evidence of failure. Each time you reflect on challenges and extract lessons, you strengthen both skill and self-belief. Resilience requires the discipline to view difficulty not as a threat, but as a necessary component of growth. Daily practice of reflection and reframing strengthens your mind's ability to endure pressure while maintaining self-assuredness. Confidence flourishes when the mind learns that setbacks are temporary and capability is enduring. Focus is a critical aspect of mental training. Confidence diminishes when attention is scattered and energy is wasted on distractions or doubts. Daily exercises that enhance focus, whether through meditation, structured problem-solving, or mindful attention, train your brain to remain steady in the face of complexity. The ability to direct your thoughts and maintain clarity underpins a strong sense of self-assurance. Each moment of sustained attention reinforces the belief that you are capable of controlling your mind and, by extension, your outcomes. Preparation reinforces confidence. When you equip yourself with knowledge, skills, and strategies relevant to your goals, your mind experiences certainty rather than fear. Mental training involves consistent acquisition of relevant knowledge and rehearsal of effective approaches. This preparation builds a foundation where action is supported by competence, allowing confidence to emerge naturally. A well-prepared mind approaches challenges with calm assurance, knowing that success is a product of intentional effort rather than chance. The body also supports mental confidence. Daily routines that strengthen physical health, exercise, nutrition, and sufficient rest directly influence cognitive clarity and emotional stability. Mental training is not confined to thought alone. It involves nurturing the body so that the mind has the energy, focus, and a resilience to act with assurance. A clear, energized mind paired with a strong, capable body fosters a holistic sense of self-confidence that is difficult to shake. Repetition is the engine of growth in mental training. Confidence does not emerge instantly. It accumulates from consistent daily practice. Each day, affirm your capability, face small challenges, and reflect on progress. Track the moments when you succeeded, adapted, or remained composed. Over time, the repeated reinforcement becomes an internalized sense of reliability. You begin to trust yourself intuitively because the mind has a record of repeated competence. Awareness of triggers is also crucial. Certain situations, people, or environments can provoke insecurity or doubt. Mental training involves recognizing these triggers and preparing for them with strategies that maintain composure and focus. Anticipation reduces reactive fear and allows for deliberate, confident responses. By mastering triggers, you gradually cultivate a mind that is steady, self-assured, and resilient, regardless of external circumstances. Gratitude amplifies confidence. Daily reflection on strengths, achievements, and resources reinforces the mind's perception of capability. Gratitude shifts focus from perceived limitations to proven potential. It is a subtle but powerful form of mental training that enhances self-belief while reducing anxiety and comparison. Recognizing your existing strengths strengthens the foundation upon which confidence can expand. Daily mental training also involves embracing uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and confidence is not about knowing every outcome. It is about trusting your ability to handle whatever arises. Training your mind to approach uncertainty with curiosity and composure builds a flexible, adaptable confidence. Each successful navigation of the unknown reinforces the belief that you are capable in all circumstances, strengthening your mental resilience and self-assurance. Confidence is ultimately a habit, not a condition of circumstance. Daily practice of awareness, visualization, self-talk, reflection, and deliberate challenge transforms your internal narrative. The mind learns to expect capability rather than doubt, to anticipate success rather than fear failure. Each deliberate mental exercise reinforces a mindset that approaches life with calm, focused, and grounded self-belief. Over time, this habitual confidence becomes automatic, influencing decisions, behavior, and outcomes across every aspect of life. Mental training is a lifelong commitment. Even after establishing strong confidence, continued practice ensures it remains resilient, flexible, and aligned with growth. The mind must be exercised daily, just like a muscle, to maintain strength and agility. Confidence is not static. It grows when consistently nurtured and applied. By embedding daily mental training into your routine, you cultivate a mind that is steady, empowered, and capable of achieving sustained success. Through consistent effort, reflection, and conscious action, confidence transitions from a fleeting feeling to a reliable foundation. The individual who engages in daily mental training is not only more capable of handling challenges, they are also more decisive, more resilient, and more equipped to pursue ambitious goals. Strengthening confidence through practice ensures that it is earned, maintained, and continuously expanded, creating a life in which self-belief drives meaningful action and consistent achievement. Chapter 10. Live intentionally by thinking thoughts that create growth. Living intentionally begins with the mind. Every decision, every action, and every habit originates from thought. What you focus on, what you dwell upon, and what you choose to believe shapes the trajectory of your life. To live intentionally is to recognize that your inner dialogue is not random. It is the foundation upon which your future is built. Growth arises when thoughts are selected deliberately, nourished carefully, and aligned with meaningful purpose. The mind becomes fertile ground when you plant ideas that expand understanding, deepen skill, and reinforce constructive action. Most people drift through life without conscious awareness of the thoughts that dominate their mind. The average day is filled with mental clutter, concerns, distractions, doubts, and reactive thinking. These thoughts may feel unavoidable, but they can be reshaped through intention. By consistently directing attention toward ideas that encourage learning, resilience, and proactive effort, the mind gradually adapts to favor growth. Intentional thinking is a practice, and like any practice, it strengthens with repetition. Each moment in which you notice your thoughts and redirect them toward constructive pathways is a step toward mastery. Intentional living requires clarity of purpose. Without understanding what you truly value and desire, thoughts become scattered, and energy is wasted on pursuits that do not contribute to meaningful growth. Take time to define what matters most. Identify the areas of life where improvement will yield the greatest impact: health, relationships, skills, personal habits, or contribution. Once clarity exists, every thought can be evaluated in terms of whether it serves or hinders that purpose. Thoughts that support growth become daily building blocks, while those that distract or diminish are recognized and released. Self-reflection is an essential component of intentional thinking. By observing your mental patterns, you gain insight into how thoughts influence actions and outcomes. Ask yourself, which thoughts lead to progress and which thoughts lead to stagnation? Awareness alone does not suffice. It must be paired with deliberate choice. When negative or unproductive thoughts arise, consciously replace them with alternatives that empower, encourage, and inspire. Over time, this discipline transforms automatic reactions into deliberate responses aligned with growth. Thoughts that create growth are active rather than passive. Passive thinking allows the mind to drift, while active thinking challenges assumptions, solves problems, and seeks improvement. Every moment presents opportunities to practice this approach. When faced with a challenge, instead of focusing on limitations, analyze potential solutions. When confronted with setbacks, explore lessons instead of dwelling on frustration. Each thought directed toward constructive outcomes reinforces the mindset of growth and strengthens mental resilience. Habits form when thought patterns are repeated consistently. Intentional living requires that productive thinking becomes habitual. Repetition of focused, constructive thoughts programs the mind to respond automatically in ways that serve development. This is not a superficial change. It is a deep restructuring of mental pathways that ensures growth-oriented responses, even under pressure. The more deliberate the mental practice, the stronger the foundation upon which actions and decisions rest. Language shapes thought. The words you use internally influence the quality of your thinking. Replace limiting language with empowering alternatives. I might fail becomes, I will learn and adapt. This is too difficult becomes, I can take steps to handle this challenge. This conscious shift in language reshapes perception, directs energy towards solutions, and primes the mind for growth. Intentional thought requires intentional language, both inwardly and outwardly. Focus is critical. Living intentionally means concentrating on thoughts that drive progress and ignoring those that do not. Distractions are inevitable, but the mind can be trained to maintain attention on what truly matters. Techniques such as prioritizing daily objectives, setting clear intentions, and visualizing desired outcomes help anchor the mind. Consistent focus ensures that energy flows toward constructive action rather than dissipating in unproductive directions. Action is the natural outcome of growth-oriented thought. Ideas alone are insufficient. They gain power only when expressed through behavior. Each time a constructive thought leads to deliberate action, it reinforces both belief and habit. Mental clarity, combined with consistent practice, produces tangible results. When intentions align with behavior, life begins to reflect the quality of thought. The mind becomes a catalyst for transformation rather than a passive observer of circumstance. Emotional regulation is intertwined with intentional thought. Unchecked emotions often hijack reasoning and undermine growth. By cultivating self-awareness and intentionally redirecting mental focus, you prevent reactive impulses from dictating behavior. Thoughts aligned with purpose create calm, clarity, and measured response. Emotional mastery enhances the effectiveness of intentional thinking, allowing the mind to navigate challenges without losing direction. Continuous learning fuels intentional growth. Each day presents opportunities to expand knowledge, refine skills, and deepen understanding. Engaging with ideas that challenge assumptions, exploring new perspectives, and acquiring practical knowledge feeds the mind with resources for improvement. Intentional living requires curiosity and openness to insight, ensuring that each thought contributes to the cumulative growth of competence, wisdom, and adaptability. Accountability strengthens intentional thought. Recording progress, setting measurable objectives, and reviewing daily decisions provide feedback on whether thoughts and actions align with growth. Honest evaluation reveals patterns, uncovers blind spots, and highlights opportunities for improvement. Accountability creates structure, transforming intention from vague aspiration into measurable practice. This process ensures that thinking is not merely aspirational but operational. Gratitude enhances intentional thought by shifting focus from limitations to potential. Recognizing achievements, resources, and opportunities cultivates a mindset that seeks solutions rather than dwelling on obstacles. Gratitude reinforces constructive thinking and fosters a positive emotional state conducive to learning, creativity, and resilience. It strengthens mental habits that consistently support growth-oriented behavior. The quality of life reflects the quality of thoughts. Those who cultivate intentional thinking experience clarity in decision-making, efficiency in effort, and consistency in results. Growth becomes the natural trajectory because each mental choice is oriented toward improvement. Random or reactive thinking produces uncertainty, stress, and wasted energy. Intentional thought transforms the mind into a precise instrument, capable of guiding life toward meaningful outcomes. Patience is part of this process. Growth does not occur instantly, and intentional thinking requires persistence. Some results take time, and mental discipline ensures that setbacks do not derail progress. Each day spent practicing purposeful thought compounds over months and years, producing exponential improvement. The mind, trained to focus on constructive thinking, becomes a reliable guide in navigating long-term goals. Ultimately, living intentionally is an act of self-responsibility. The mind is the source of all creation, and thoughts determine what manifests in life. By deliberately choosing ideas that promote learning, resilience, and proactive behavior, you shape not only immediate circumstances but long-term trajectory. The practice of intentional thinking transforms challenges into opportunities, obstacles into lessons, and potential into achievement. Each day presents a new opportunity to exercise this discipline. Awareness, focus, reflection, language, and action converge to create a life aligned with growth. Intentional thought becomes the habit that guides decision-making, strengthens resilience, and produces consistent advancement. The mind becomes a fertile ground for possibility, the blueprint for personal transformation, and the engine driving a purposeful, expansive life. By committing to intentional thinking, you ensure that your mental energy is never wasted. Every thought becomes an asset, every reflection a tool, and every decision an opportunity for growth. Over time, this practice forms a mindset that naturally seeks improvement, acts decisively, and navigates life with clarity and confidence. Living intentionally is not a singular act. It is the consistent practice of directing the mind toward growth, resulting in a life defined by purpose, achievement, and enduring personal mastery.